Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Just going to give another minute for individuals to join us. Okay, we've got a lot to cover today. So we're going to go over insurance verification, the Huddle page, tasks, and marketing IQ. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat, and then we will address them. Anything that I may need to answer later on, I will send an email with information. And yes, we will be making this recording available on the Learning Center, and I will send an email with the webinar recording as well. Okay, let's share my screen. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I'm going to go over is insurance verification. So insurance verification allows you to bulk verify your patient's insurance. It'll also let you keep track of the insurance breakdown, and then as well, it'll let you view your plan analysis and patient mixed. So the first thing that we want to cover when we're going to do insurance verification is the initial setup. So the first thing that you'll want to do is go to your settings. And then from the settings page, you'll click on insurance verification. On this page, it'll give you the first step here will be to enter your NPI number. You can also choose a provider NPI from this drop down. If there's a provider already selected, you can do that there. The numbers will appear here. I don't want to select this drop down just in case it provides any names, but everything on here is a demo site, so just keep that in mind as well for HIPAA compliance. Here on the insurance verification page, one of the main things that you'll want to do is any insurance that you typically use, you want to make sure that you're mapping the payer to the insurance. So as you can see, we have Aetna here, and then you'll want to select Aetna as the payer as well, or whatever the payer might be. That way, when you are verifying insurances, this payer is going to automatically be showing up in the insurance verification page. So from here, you can narrow down your search. So since there is quite a few pages here, 153 rows, we can always narrow that down. So if you just want to look at Delta Dental, you can narrow it down like that. Then it'll show you if we can do verification and eligibility or one or the other. So as you can see for Delta Dental, we can do verification and eligibility. And then some might just say verification or eligibility. Here you can also select if it's an in-network insurance or if it's an out-of-network insurance or if it's an EPO plan. And then here we also have our payer list, which will give you a breakdown if it's going to provide the verification or provide eligibility or both. Excuse me.
Are you all right?
So sorry about that. Just getting over a cold. Had to cough a second. Didn't want to get that on camera. All right, we're back. Thank you for asking, by the way. All right, so now that we have that selected, you'll go ahead and make sure you save your changes. And then the next thing that you're going to do is go back to our insurance page. Okay, from this insurance page, the first thing that you're going to see on your homepage is your patient scheduled. So this will be, since we're viewing the date range of December 1st to December 31st, that'll be the patient scheduled for that month. The next will be the insured patients that have been verified, or patients that are insured, followed by patients that have been verified within the month, and then staff costs that have been saved. If we select help, it's also going to give us a KPI explanation of each of these. So just what you're getting from each of these sections. And then you can also view a history. It's taking a little bit to load. Let's just go back here. All right, then comes the bulk verification. So in this section, you can search by appointment date. So as you can see, if we are looking at today, there's no patient scheduled. But if we go back, we can see a list of all the patients scheduled for that day. And then it'll allow us to bulk verify those patients. Everyone in green has already been verified. So here you'll have the patient name, the insurance company, the insurance that they have, your payer, which will automatically be added if we've entered it in that insurance verification settings page, followed by whether it's in network or out of network. Here you would enter the patient subscriber ID, and then here it'll give us the date of when they were last verified, their status, so all of these are active, and then it'll give us their remaining benefits and then deducted remaining or deductible remaining. If I click on the patient's name, it'll then bring me to their patient overview. And here I can view their breakdown, their insurance breakdown. So just more information on exactly what's going to be covered for them. When you go to verify, so let's go to the futures. Try to go to maybe January. So all of these patients are already verified, but let's say, for example, we have these two that are giving us an error. If we want to verify these again, we can click these two individual patients and then select verify. Once we click verify, it'll either give us that they're active again and give us their breakdown, or it might give us an error, just depending on what the error might be. So for this one, they're an inactive member, so maybe they don't have insurance anymore. And the error can vary as well. Let's see. Apologize for all the coughing. Hopefully it'll go away. Let's see here, we have a different error. So like this one is a payer specific error. Patient birth date does not match that for the patient on the database. So there could be different errors that might appear, but you'll be able to view that here on the bulk verification page. If for some reason there's a patient that maybe you keep getting this error, you can click on their name and then you can also manually verify the patient. And then if it's selected in your settings, all of this will write into your practice management system into the patient's chart. And so for example, if we go back to our settings and we go into our PMS write back settings, we can see that it is going to write back the insurance verification. And then here it'll allow you to choose where these documents are saved. So in this case, it's going to a folder titled insurance documents. Now back to the insurance page. The next thing that we're going to have is the verification log. So similar to what you already see on the homepage, this is just going to give you the date that they were verified, their status again, the patient name, insurance name, their payer, and then if for any reason, if there was an error, and then again, their benefits remaining and their deductibles. And then here at the top, it'll give you how many insurance checks you've done, so how many verifications. Give you a little bit of information about this KPI. It'll give you how many successful verifications, and then your staff costs saved for verifying in bulk. Next, you'll have your plan analysis. So on this page, you're going to be able to see your UCR production, the adjusted production percentage of UCR, and then the collections percentage of UCR. It'll then also give you a breakdown by insurances. So in this example, Delta Dental of California is the most used insurance, and then, the breakdown of this. So this will be a heat map. So anything in, I want to say, purple is going to be higher. There's articles I'll send as after this webinar as well with just information on how to read this. But as you can see, it'll just be a heat map that'll help you identify some areas of improvement, things that you can follow up on based on the insurance details. And then next we have our patient mix. So again, you'll see the patients scheduled for the month or whatever date range you choose here at the top. You'll then see your insured patients. You can also then find PPO patients and then FFS patients. And then down below, we have some pie charts that'll give you a breakdown of patients seen by insurance, production by insurance, collection by insurance, and then adjustments by insurance. Any questions on insurance verification? Okay.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So PPO patients, I understand, everyone who is PPO or in our PMS, that's under a certain PPO insurance will indicate it on the PPO patients, which is 492 there. But for FFS, so this is cash paying patients. For example, like a lot of dental offices, we have membership, but that's not actually really PPO. So does it pick up on those little details, or which insurances go under FFS?
That is a good question. I think the way that we can track that here. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe I had an office once that maybe they keep track of it using certain types. So if you, for example, were to go to Revenue IQ, say we do patient finder, we can do you do has primary insurance is yes, then primary insurance. And then I believe this particular office that I once spoke to had a grouping that was maybe like membership or something of the sort where they're tracking it as a membership plan through the practice management software. That way you can keep track of which ones are those kind of FFS patients. If that's not making sense, I can definitely gather some more information and I can share it via email once I send the recording and some additional information on insurance.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. And then just to point out, I mean, we will be going over Revenue IQ in a later webinar this month, but In the patient finder, if you ever want to search for any patients by a specific insurance, these would be the best filters to use. So has primary insurance is yes, and then narrowing it down by the insurance that you're trying to look for. This is helpful, especially for like those end of year emails that we send. Okay. So now I'm going to move on to our Huddle page. So the Huddle page is kind of a quick breakdown of just your day. And so it'll allow you to kind of get together with your team and kind of go over what you're scheduled to produce for the day, let you view which patients are coming in, and just kind of schedule your day and prepare yourself for the day ahead. So let me get to a day here that has some. Okay. So if this is my practice, and if I'm looking at today, it's going to give, in this case, there is nothing on today's schedule, but there is some patients scheduled for the 11th of December. So here it's going to tell me I have 34 patients scheduled. 4 of those are new patients, and then what I'm scheduled to produce versus what I need to produce to stay on track. And this number is going to come from any kind of monthly goals you might have set in Practice IQ. So just keep that in mind. Here we'll then have our month to date production. You'll have the AR due, treatment pending, and then unscheduled family members. So anyone that is currently scheduled might have family members that haven't been in a while, and that will show up here. If you click on this, it'll also give you the patient that's coming in's name and then the count of family members who are unscheduled. So all of these are kind of linked together. Next, we'll have the appointments that are scheduled for the doctors. And then you also have appointments scheduled for the hygienist. And this is going to go based off the service codes scheduled for these patients. So if we take a look here, for the doctor, we have scheduled production amount for the 11th set at 9,134. We have 33 patients scheduled. We have 4 patients that are new. And then available units is going to be how much time the provider still has or how many units are still available for schedule utilization. So available hours by provider. Here I can also filter. So if I want.
Hello, can I interrupt for a
Hi.
moment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. I'm wondering if the provider hours are very irregular, what's the best way to handle that situation? Like sometimes it's Monday, Tuesday, Friday, sometimes it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Is
Yeah,
there an
so
easy way to tackle that?
yeah, and I can share some articles that we have on
Setting the
how
actual
to,
days.
yeah, so I can send some articles on how to accurately set that up. But the first thing that you want to make sure is you'll go to settings. And then we have the office and provider hours page. So here will be the office hours. And let's say a provider has a varying schedule. You want to leave it as same as office. And then what you can do instead is back on the settings page, you'll go to the provider hours worked and then just manually enter their hours here. And then that way it'll keep track of those provider hours that are available accurately.
So we'd have to do that for every day of the year. And is there a way to have that information pulled from the what's available in the database in the practice management software, Open Dental?
We should have that capability. I know there have been some changes, so let me verify on that, and then I will provide that in the email that I send out as well.
Just one quick question.
Yeah.
So let's say a doctor is seeing 3 columns, a single provider. Should the hours be 8 hours, or should I multiply that by 3 and input 24 hours?
I believe It should just be the 8 hours for the day. So like what's truly available.
Is there a setting to like change how many operatories they're using, like chairs? Because in order to see available hours accurately, I mean, you told us that if it says 8, there might be 8 available hours of patient time. Um, but let's say we are utilizing, 3 operatories, how should we read that?
That is a good point. I'm not entirely sure if we covered that correctly in an article. I'll have to verify that. And I'm taking notes on your questions as well, just so that you know. And that way I can provide you with the best examples. I know for the schedule utilization, it can be a bit tricky. Let me see what.
For schedule utilization, appointments overlapping, no matter what, you're only available that certain amount of hours per day. So say, for example, the provider is there for 8 hours in one day. Even if they are scheduled in 3 different operatories, you're still only available 8 hours a day. So if you're available in the morning time in one operatory, you've got some overlap. It's really only looking for open hours in that schedule. So you're not available 24 hours a day. You're only available 8. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that part makes sense. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Emily. Okay. So the next thing that we have here, you can filter this by chairs. You can filter this by types of appointments and then by provider as well. It'll give you in order the patient scheduled from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. It'll give you the patient's name. And then there are some icons as well that'll tell you if this is a new patient. So as you can see here, and then if the appointment has been confirmed, it'll allow you to open the patient's routing slip. And then here it'll also show you if the patient has any pending forms. So like this patient does, but then this one has no pending forms. So a couple different actions that you can take here. You can also click this icon if they have a pending form to send them a new reminder to complete those forms before they come in. So a couple different options. Then we have what you're projected to produce based on this appointment, followed by some of the codes that this patient is coming in for. If you click the routing slip, it'll go into further detail. Then here it'll have some treatment information, if the patient has a balance, and then their next recall date. And then it'll give you those totals here. So the total you're scheduled to produce, any pending treatment plans, and then the patient's current balance total. Next, for the hygienist, it's going to be pretty similar. It's just going to break down those patients that are just maybe coming in for a cleaning. And then here at the bottom of the page, it'll tell you any patients that have upcoming or past birthdays in that month, any patients that are new to the practice, if they were maybe referred by somebody, their insurance, and then I believe their phone numbers here. It's hard to tell. Then we have our top referring patients. So it'll have the patient that's scheduled and then how many other patients they've referred since starting at coming to your practice. And then here we'll have patients with incomplete information. So it'll have the patient's name and then it'll tell you if they're missing a phone number, an email, or I believe a referral source. So all of that will be here. And then down at the bottom, you can also view your utilization. So by chair and then by provider. And then it'll give you that breakdown of available units, units booked, and then available hours by provider. And then those productive hours, so the hours that are scheduled. And then on the Huddle page as well, you can view past production, so anything from yesterday. This is just going to have a bit more on metrics, not so much the patient scheduled. So it'll give you your production for the previous day, what you ended up at, your collections, how many appointments were added, pre-appointment percentage, and then you'll have your treatment accepted, same day treatment, average hourly, and then hygiene. So hygiene pre-appointment, fluoride, average hourly, and treatment retention. And you can also open up these detailed panels just for a breakdown of the provider and how much they each did separately. And then here, like you see, this hygiene performance one is going to show you there are 7 patients that need treatment, 3 are retained, and then how much open time there is, and then the patient, and then their remaining treatment, how much it has been completed, and then how much has been scheduled. Then here you'll have any adjustment exceptions, followed by low production items, if any duplicate service codes, and then again, your utilization. Yes, Fanny. So in Revenue IQ, the easiest way to find an actual list of patients with the same insurance would be, and I'll just quickly kind of go back to this, will be to go to Patient Finder, Active Patients, and then select Has Primary Insurance is going to be yes, Primary Insurance, and then select the specific list that you're looking for. So if maybe I just want Aetna patients, I would select that, hit search, and then as you can see, it'll give me a list of 323 patients that have Aetna. Okay, going back to our Huddle page. So that is the yesterday, and then you can also focus on tomorrow. And the tomorrow one will look a lot like the today, since it's just going to give you what to expect in terms of what you're scheduled to produce. And then who's scheduled. Any questions about the Huddle page or how you can use this? Okay. The next thing we'll discuss is tasks. So on the tasks page, as you can see here, the first thing that you're going to see is overdue tasks, how many are due today, how many are due tomorrow, and then all tasks. So tasks are a great way to have your staff do follow-up articles on utilization. Yes, we should have some, and I'll be sure to send as many as I can find your way when I send the follow-up email after the webinar. So as I was saying, this is a great way for staff to follow up with any patients that might have canceled an appointment, have treatment follow-up or recall follow-up. There's various ways that you can create tasks. And then the tasks page is where all of those tasks that have been created are going to live. If we click filters, here we can select by task type. So as you can see, there's a task for AR follow-up, treatment follow-up, recall, reactivation, canceled appointment, reappointment, any custom campaign tasks that have been created, and then last minute appointments. So we can filter those out by any specific task. You can also filter it by employees. So if maybe, for example, we just want to see any tasks that have been assigned to Amber, we can click this filter. She doesn't have any. Let's see. Well, it might not give me an accurate list since we are using some unreal names here for right now, but essentially you would just click on those and you can view the task by the employee that is at the office. Then you can also view only tasks that you created yourself. And then you can also filter by either closed tasks, overdue tasks, new tasks, any tasks that are due today. So like these 14 would appear here, or those that are due tomorrow. Now let's talk about how to create the tasks. So there are two ways that tasks can be created. You can do Revenue IQ. And then down here at the bottom, we have an automatic task section. If we click on this, we're going to be taken to this page here, where we have those kind of built-in tasks types. If let's say, okay, this looks like one that's already active. So we have canceled appointments. This is a canceled and failed appointments campaign. If I click on this, it's going to give me some additional filters that I can choose from. So we'll show all filters. This is our canceled and failed appointments. So this will be a task gets created in the instance of whatever filters we choose here. So in this case, the appointment was 7 days ago. The status was either failed, canceled, or broken. You can always change the date of the appointment. So you can edit this however you'd like. Here in this example, they've selected last contacted is no limit, but maybe you want to do less than 2 weeks or greater than 2 weeks ago. You can also select no appointment within any of these days here. In this instance, this is not an option for the task to be created. And then you can also filter additionally by insurance, employer, benefits, any patient balance, a patient age. You can then set if you want this automatic task to be defaulted to a specific employee. So if you have maybe Amber at the office, she solely is going to work on these canceled tasks, then you can assign them to her specifically, or you can leave it to a treatment coordinator, financial coordinator, one of the coordinator roles as well. Or you can leave it blank and then it'll just assign it to somebody. Then we have follow-ups. So it'll have the due date is 1 day from creation. So this task would just have to be followed up within 1 day. And then you can also do additional follow-ups. So 7 days from creation is follow-up 1, and then 21 days from creation is follow-up 2. So there would be additional tasks created for these follow-ups. And then here, the closure of the task would fall in from 30 days from creation. So at 30 days, once all of these follow-ups have been done, the task will close. And this will also close after any appointment has been scheduled. So after the outreach and the appointment is scheduled, the task closes. And you can also make it so it's not maybe just not any appointment, it has to be a canceled appointment, specific appointment schedule. So if they're following up on that canceled appointment and that's what gets booked, you can close that task by that, or it could just be any appointment scheduled. So as you can see, this one is active for tasks, and then there's a couple other ones here. These are all inactive, but at any time you can make them active and you can edit your filters to align with what you'd like the task creation to be. So in this case, this is the pre-appointment task. So any hygiene patient that's not pre-appointed. And then as you can see, they've done here, we've selected 8 services completed, and then services that are not scheduled. So tasks would be created based off of the filters chosen here, and it looks like it's set to default to Alejandra. And then the closure rules as well. So from this, it's going to pick up any patients that fall within these categories and create that task on this page. And then from here, it'll show me the patient with the task, the task type, when the task is due, and then who this task was assigned to. If I then click on the patient's name, it'll take me directly to that task. Let's do. Okay, so right here, this task is overdue and it's a canceled appointment type task. It'll show me who it's assigned to, when it was due. So it was due back on January 24th and it was created on January 23rd. Yes, so tasks are typically going to be assigned to a patient because you're following up with that patient for, whether it's in a canceled appointment that they need to rebook or treatment that they haven't scheduled. It's all correlated to those patients. So let's say, for example, we want to change, maybe we don't want this to be overdue. We've decided we're going to come back to it. Here we can update the due date to make it in the future. It also gives us the last appointment that the patient had for prophy on 4/12. And then Sarah can log contact if they've tried to reach out to this patient. So they can go here, select whether the patient scheduled that appointment after they contacted them, whether they didn't schedule, left a message, or no answer. And then here they would also they can enter a description. Patient was busy, call back, maybe if it was, left a message or no answer. And then they can update the due date from here. If we want to keep the task open, they would just log that contact. If we want to close the task, you would just log the contact and then close the task. And then as you can see, some of the notes that were added for some of these, like this one here. This one is overdue and it's for patient recall. They attempted contact twice. There was no answer. They added an additional note here. And then as you can see, it'll give us the activity of when this patient was contacted. So once on March 6th and then once on April 30th. And then here you can also keep track of open, in progress, or closed tasks. So right now we're looking at the open and in progress. If I wanted to maybe just look at closed, I can select that. And we create our own tags. For example, billing, if we were to check for payment. Yes, so you can create your own task types. So if you want it to be an automatic task, probably is going to be the best for what you're referring to, Claudia. So here, instead of choosing from one of these pre-made task types, you can create your own. You'll just kind of select what kind of task it is. Maybe you're referring to billing, so accounts receivable. I think this one is still we're still working on getting the accounts receivable and revenue IQ up, but you can give it a separate name here just to keep track of the task type. and then add the filters that you're looking for. And then this will create it automatically. So there's various ways to kind of keep track of that. But if you have any additional questions after this webinar, we can definitely connect on that. Okay. Then we can also do manual tasks. So the way that you can create those would be from our campaigns. So let's say we go to a custom campaign, or better yet, we'll do a follow-up campaign. What kind of KPIs are you looking for, Fritzy? We can connect separately after this and I'll try to give you a breakdown. Correct. In Revenue IQ, it'll give us this table right here. So it'll show your employees, how many overdue, due today, due tomorrow, due soon, and just like all of, and then also all tasks that they've ever been assigned. But if you have additional questions, we can definitely connect. And then it'll show us contact outcome by that employee. So how many attempts they made, how many were no outcome, no answer, scheduled percentage, scheduled dollar amount. So I think those are what you're looking for. Yes, Jin Song. So on the Huddle page, as I mentioned, it's hard to see because we're using it in demo mode, but on the Tomorrow tab, it'll show whether the patient is confirmed here. It'll be like a check icon. So like, for example, this one here, even though it's blurred, this appointment doesn't seem to be confirmed because we don't have that check mark appearing. Yes, so for see that information is on the Revenue IQ page for you. And it'll be on the contact outcome by employee, and this will be strictly related to the tasks that they have. Okay, and then let's go to our campaigns. So in follow-up campaigns, here we also have the owner closure and expiration section. And this is going to correlate to tasks as well. So you can always set that here instead of in the automatic task section. So just keep that in mind for follow-up campaigns, that you can always kind of change how your task is created from this. And then in custom campaigns, as you're creating your campaign, it'll allow you to also set some task rules. So let's say we go to it won't be on the custom campaigns, I apologize. It'll just be on the follow-up campaigns. So you can edit any of the campaigns for how the task is created. So as you can see in this failed appointments campaign, we can select the task owner. Again, we can select the task expiration, schedule closure rules, and then when the patient was last contacted in order for task creation, and then we can ignore or select if patient has any appointment within this time frame. Any questions on automatic tasks, task creation? Okay. The next thing we'll cover is marketing IQ. So in Marketing IQ, this is going to be a great way to just kind of find those leads that you want to maybe convert into patients, kind of view any patients that are coming from maybe campaigns, whether it's a Google ad or a referral partner. All of that will be tracked here. So the first thing that you'll see on this Marketing IQ page will be your return of investment snapshot. So leads that were generated in the given time frame, how many of those became patients that were scheduled, how many of those became appointments that were completed, and then production that was generated from that. Then here we'll have our lead conversion by marketing source, followed by a list of your leads. So it'll have the status, whether it was a lead. Here it'll also have if it's a missed call by this lead. So in this case, this one and this one were, but maybe these were answered. It'll give us the phone number of the lead, the date that the call came in, and then the source for this call. And then it'll give us the duration of the recorded call and then any flags. So if I were to select this, it's going to allow me to make any notes to this call. So a call, okay, let's see. So typically anyone that's a lead is just going to be like an unknown number unless you have like a vendor saved. In that case, it's not going to quantify them as a lead. Also, since we have your patient's phone numbers saved in their charts, it'll kind of filter that out. So anyone that's calling from an unknown number will most likely be considered a lead. But a large part of this is going to come from the call tracking settings that we have. So the first thing that you want to do in setting up Marketing IQ is go to settings. And then here we have some of the analytics. So call tracking phone numbers, as you saw, some of those numbers were maybe like a Facebook or from a Google ad. All of that is tracked here. So here you'll have your office number, and then you can buy additional phone numbers and set those as a referral source. So here we have the purchase numbers, and then underneath this will be the call forwarding number, so the office number. And then like in this example, whatever this number is, it's going to be set on your Facebook page. So anytime someone calls from that number, or anytime someone calls that number, it's going to redirect to your office, but it's going to track the patient called from Facebook. And so that's how it's kind of quantifying that it's a lead in that case. So from this call tracking page, you'll set up all of the ones that you want to use. As you can see, there's a couple different Google ad ones, some Amazon, there's one for a practice. All of that information is here. You can then also do advanced settings, and then you can create a campaign from the phone number that you have, the refer site. So in this case, it's Facebook. And then you can also add referring website. And I'll share all of the articles that are relevant to Marketing IQ. And then as well, a good resource is the Marketing IQ course in the Learning Center. Let's say, okay, various email campaigns I might send out. So it depends on what campaign the patient is receiving. I mean, some of the most common ones are going to be like the appointment reminders campaign. But if, for example, you don't want a patient to maybe receive specific campaigns, you can always change that in the patient window. So let's say I have this patient. If I go to details, I have communication preferences for them. So here I can select what kinds of emails they receive, as well as what kind of text they receive. So you can always kind of adjust this so that they're not getting all kinds of messages if that's not what they want to be receiving. And then also anytime someone is added to a campaign, it's going to show on the activity page under patient sequences. So if they're getting messages from multiple campaigns, that'll show up here, and you can, under the action section, there'll be a trash icon where you can just remove them from that campaign. And that way they don't have to continue to do stop or cancel, because that'll just remove them from all future texts. Yes, we do have also a list of opted out patients. So if we go to our settings page, under the communication section, we have opted out patients. So settings page. Now back to the call tracking. Here you can also release any numbers if you no longer need them, but anyone that calls the numbers here is going to be tracked on the Marketing IQ page. And then additionally down here at the bottom, we have a website script setup. So this will allow you to track online referral sources based on the number, and then you can get the referral tracking script here to add to your website. So now once this has been set up, you can go back to Marketing IQ. And then as you can see, it's giving us the lead conversions by marketing source. So we have Google searches and one of the other referral sources that you saw set up in that call tracking. And then you see the source, this person came from that Facebook number. And then here we can add any additional notes. We can open any text conversation that we may have had with this patient or lead. You can copy this lead to open it in a new page. And then you can also assign this to an employee similar to a staff or a task, sorry, so that they can do follow-up on this lead if maybe you're trying to get them to schedule an appointment or whatever the reason might be. And then you can also unassign them. And then you can flag these calls as well. So maybe if you want to mark it as not reviewed, that'll allow someone else to come back to reach out to this lead, or you can select this flag for anything that's maybe sensitive or needs some additional outreach. Then you will have your new patients entered. So anyone that was a lead that then maybe gets converted into a patient will be here. And again, it'll give you the first time that they called. It'll give you the source that they called from, if it was related to any of the call tracking campaigns, and then any adjusted production that may have been scheduled from that call. Here then you'll have your new patient revenue. You can view more details here in the panel. And then you can also have, you'll also view your lead conversion by staff. So it'll allow you to track which staff member spoke to these patients, which of them converted the patient to a new patient, or the lead to a new patient, I should say. Next, we will have our call list. So this is somewhat on the homepage of, or the summary page of Marketing IQ, but again, it'll just give you all of the calls and then those conversion by staff. And you can also filter this as well. If maybe you're getting a lot of calls, you can narrow this down to be a bit more specific. Next, you have more metrics on return of investment. So it'll break it down by production, by referral source, new patient production, adjusted production, elections, if treatment was presented, and then which referral source that came from, any appointment cancellations, and then any broken appointments. Next, you'll have the information on new patients. So anyone that's a lead that gets converted into a new patient, it'll give you that breakdown with some of the similar information that you see on the Huddle page. It'll give you the patient's first appointment, services that they're scheduled for, the amount of production that they're scheduled for, their next appointment date, if any, the source that they came from, the provider they're assigned to, and then their insurance if they have one. And then down here, it'll do some metrics as far as referral source for the new patients and collections and things like that. Under call log, you're then going to see the metrics as far as number of minutes spent by referral source, calls by referral source. You'll have the total number of calls in the given time range, how much time in minutes was spent on those calls, and then the tracked incoming tracked calls. So whether it was a received call, a missed call, whether it was a patient here, as you can see, someone that's not a lead, maybe they were deemed not a lead, and so that's what it's showing it here. If it's an outstanding lead, it just means that they're probably still being followed up with. So referral source from existing patients for Marketing IQ, I don't believe it does, because this is strictly looking at those calls that came in from your tracking numbers or like the referral source based links in the appointment booking. But I'll follow up and provide that information in the email as well. And then some calls are recorded. So as you can see, this one was, you can always listen back to it if it has the play button here. And then in the settings page, we can also track Google Analytics. So that's what this page is going to provide. It's not set up currently and in this case here, but if you wanted to, you can go back to your settings page. Select Google Analytics, and then you would have the option to link your Google here so that when you go to Marketing IQ, it is all being tracked in this Google page here. So you'd be able to find total Google visitors, traffic by source, anyone that's new, anything that's paid, traffic by campaign. So various things that you can do with your Google page. And then here you'll also have your history. A lot of this is going to be from the Google Analytics. So if you don't have it set up, it might not track it. But then you can also track the calls. So total calls received by referral source. Yes, if you don't see Marketing IQ on your end, it may not be a part of your package, but we can definitely upgrade it if you'd like. Just reach out to our support team and we can discuss what your options are. And then patients entered by call tracking source, and then those by your practice management referral source. We can connect after this call, Claudia, to try to get that set up. Sometimes you just have to unlink it and relink it. And then that should typically tends to work for Google connections. And then down here, it'll have patients entered by call tracking referral source detail. So similar to some of the other sections. And then lastly, if you have either Phone IQ set up or our new PBN voice, it is going to record some of your calls depending on the state that you're in. And here you would be able to see that. So as you can see, it'll give you, in this case, the ID, the time that the patient or lead called, the status of the call, the duration of the call, their phone number. I believe this should be provider maybe assigned. It's available. You'll be able to see this on your marketing IQ page. And then as well as the city, state, and zip code that they called in from. And then this button means that you can listen to the recording. If that's not available, then there was no call recorded, but most of them will be recorded. You can also always, in your settings, adjust your call recording announcement. This is beneficial if you need to make callers aware that they're being recorded, so you can always add that audio here. We have some preset options already available, and that just lets the caller know that they're being recorded. So call recordings can be found in Marketing IQ for the most part on this page here. Any questions about Marketing IQ? Okay, I will be sending out an email later today with a link to this recording and then additional articles, information on all of what we've discussed so far today. Also, please take a look at the courses in the Learning Center if you haven't already. There is an option for you to ask questions on any course in there as well. But feel free to reply directly to my email if you have any questions. And we look forward to seeing you in future webinars. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you too.